Good evening. My name is Ray Dwyer, and this is Dr. Joe Dispenza's Meditation and Book Discussion Group. Tonight, we're talking Becoming Supernatural, Chapter 8, Mind Movie Kaleidoscope. Dr. Joe opens it by a little story, anecdotal story about he just got to his hotel room from a conference he was at, and he turned on the television, flipped through the news, and he landed on a news channel. Then, as he was packing and doing what you do in a hotel, a commercial came on, and it came on talking about shingles and the pain and the medication. It was a commercial to sell. And as he watched this, he goes, "Oh, that's why they call it programming, because the power of suggestion through the process of this commercial was so thoroughly played out. Dr. Joe just watched it in amazement, not for the content of the material being sold, but for the process of programming that he's familiar with that was being played out in the commercial." Remember the 4 points of placebo. In the placebo, there's the conditioning, there's the element, the pill, there's the story, and there's the emotional connection. He was watching this, and all four of those elements were being played out in this commercial. This process of conditioning begins by pairing a symbol or an image with a change in the emotional state, combined a combination that opens the doorway between the consciousness and subconscious mind. This is on page 180. These commercials are not information, they're programming, and they're meant to stir you, capture your mind, and take away your choice. Not give you choice, but program you so deeply that it takes away your choice. That's the placebo effect. On the next page, 181, let's take a closer look at what this commercial is attempting to do. First, it puts you in an emotional state, changing how you feel now that you're prone to accept and believe and surrender. Remember that terrible word that many of us fight with? Or in pain, you're more susceptible to the information equal to those emotions. It's information, it is not fact or truth. Do you remember when we talked in a couple chapters about uh, opinions, attitudes, and perceptions? We think we've got this opinion. This is my opinion. Where did you get your opinion? You got your opinion by information and knowledge that you rehearsed until it's set. And now you just have an opinion. This is what you think. You did not choose what you think unless you were selective about your information. Most of us gather information throughout our day, just gathering information. And as it stirs by things like this commercial, we form an opinion. As we gather like opinions from more stirrings, we get an attitude about it. Oh, this is what I want. As we rest in attitudes, we get a perception, and pretty soon perceptions shape our life and our reality. That is what this commercial is attempting to do to those who watch this programming. Let's take a closer look at what this commercial is attempting to do. I just said that, didn't I? You know what I found? I'm on page 182. You know what I found most absurd about this commercial? They never even mentioned the drug. They know that before they mention the drug, they have to get past your reasoning barriers. So they first create the need by shaping your opinion and your attitude and your perception. Once they get that going, which you have no objection to, you sit there and let yourself be programmed. When it comes time, you're ready to look for the drug, and you will be looking for the drug. They've won. The commercial continues in a similar manner and formulas a previous and formula as a previous one. First, make an arresting statement. Then cause them to imagine change. Then and finally use autosuggestion to make them wonder if they already have shingles. Once they get your attitude and your perception looking because you've been programmed, now they can take the next step and get you going. Do I have it? Do I have it? Once you get that, they know they've got a sale by sheer numbers. Now the drug has been imprinted into your brain at another level. Where was your choice in that process? I'm not even going to talk about the side effects of the drug. Who cares? I just want the drug. I've been programmed for this drug. This type, then Dr. Joe says, I'm on page 184. I started wondering what planet I was living on. This type of programming makes you wonder if we really have free will or if we're all making choice based on what we've been conditioned and programmed to believe. Think about it. We live in a society right now that is so divided, up, down, and sideways. What a bunch of programming. You think that's an accident? Do you think people are choosing this level of division? No. They've been programmed into separation. On page 184. Years ago, I learned in my training that by definition, hypnosis is a disorientation of the inhibition process of the conscious mind, bypassing the analytical mind so that one becomes highly receptive to suggestion and information in the subconscious mind. As the conscious mind is busy the preoccupied trying to figure out things, the subconscious mind takes it all in without discretion. If you can disorient people with information, just open the door to programming the subconscious mind. End of statement. That's the goal. That's what we in our daily life are up against. That's our society. He talks about the three minds: the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the analytical mind. I was kind of confused by that for a while. And I had to do some study. And the active word here is mind. What is mind? The conscious mind, subconscious mind. The mind is the neural complex in work, in process. So the analytical mind is a special process of the conscious mind. It's like a subset. The autonomic nervous system, your deep subconscious mind, is mostly out of your cerebellum, this area back here. If you ever see pictures of the brain that has the cortex, the lymph system, then they have this little walnut thing back here. That's the cerebellum. That's the seat of the long-term memory. That's the seat of where you go when you say space and you step out of this analytical thinking and you let your CEO take a break and you turn off the input awareness to all your senses. They go taking a rest and your body goes into ANS, automatic nervous stuff. Well, anyway, system. And you go into sometimes called flow, depending on what you're doing. And when the commercial is repeated or similar ones with the same message is played over and over again, you get programmed into their design, their purpose. Well, there's other situations besides commercials that program us. Shock, trauma, strong emotional reaction. These send a neural network that instantly, and anything that shocks the mind that really builds a path is something that you've told the mind, this is important, remember. And anything it does that to, usually it does remember, and it rehearses, often at some very inappropriate time. But the purpose of remembering is to rehearse and to replay. And the cortex does that. If you are repeatedly told that your immune system weakens as you age, guess what happens? You have a program in you that says, oh, at 65 years old, I'll check my watch, see what time it is. See my watch. I was imagining I was checking my age by my watch. What a goofy thing. But well, anyway, so you check your age, you go, oh, I'm 65 this year. My immune system starts decreasing as I get old and I will weaken. I was told that. I had to overcome that to stay alive and fight the cancer that I was fully engaged in. For the advertisers to really get their money's worth in this commercial endeavor, it's best for them to repeatedly run the commercial late in the evening when you're more susceptible. Have you ever noticed the different commercials that run at different times of day? They're not messing around. They're a very, very expensive service and they know what they're doing. And their intent is to catch you in a weak state of attention and awareness so that they can drive their message into your mind. Now I ask you, where is your choice? For years, I've been thinking about how we're all constantly programmed into self-limited beliefs. That is, believing that we need something outside of us to change how we feel inside. One of the primary messages that have society has had for the last 2,000 years is a message of religion. Without poking any particular religion, religion to me is the belief in something outside of you. Think about it. When you go into meditation, when you find that place that heals, that place that loves you, This is where I find it, in my heart's center. This is where I found the doorway into the kingdom. Think about it. This belief, which reminds us of our separation from wholeness, is incessantly ingrained in us, from religion to our dependency on government, to our dependency on the corporate class, or our dependency on our inadequate poor education system. Heard an interesting thing this week about that. Pardon me, I'm going to step in it. From the time the federal government started the Federal Education Department in the late 70s, 1970s, the standing of the U.S. education decreased worldwide. Year after year, the comparative test of our students diminished compared to the world since the education department was formed. It was class one worldwide until then. And now it's just about lower than any European state, and it's definitely lower than any Asian state. We are letting students out of high school that can't balance a checkbook or don't even know what it is. They're functionally illiterate out of high school. Think about it. And I apologize if that stepped on some people politically. But we are being programmed for this. Why? Why would somebody spend millions upon hundreds of millions of dollars to program you except for their purpose and profits? Where am I going with this? You'll see in just a little bit, so hang with me. On page 188, Dr. Joe starts this section with, but what if it was possible to undo or reverse that programming so you had unlimited beliefs about yourself and your life? What if you could undo these programs of limitation and you start discovering that you, at the core, at the heart, at your inner being, has a source to the infinite potential, and you are more special than you ever were led to believe. But if we can create alpha and even theta brainwave stress states with our eyes open and intentionally expose ourselves to information relevant to our life streams and goals, we can reprogram ourselves into supernatural states rather than the unconscious states we experience daily. That's on page 188. What if we can? Is that possible? You mean we can step out of this society that is frees our hands but imprisons our mind? Yes, that is what we're talking about here. 189, Mind Movies. At our advanced workshop, every participant receives a fun, easy to use software program. That used to be correct statement and made it into the book because I guess he thought he was going to just do it indefinitely. That's no longer happening. They're no longer giving away the program. From what I understand, you can learn to produce this freely on your own. The software is out there. So that statement has been changed. The goals of this personalized media presentation include, I'm on page 190 now. I'm going to put it on the recording. The goals of this personalized media presentation include helping students get clear on their intentions they want to create. Two, programming their conscious mind as well as the unconscious mind into that new future. Three, changing their brain and body to biologically look like the future has already happened. Interesting, huh? Four, repeatedly associating those pictures and images with music to create new neural networks in the brain and to emotionally recondition the body to a new mind in a way for them to remember their future. That is the goal of a mind movie. Then he goes into a discussion of the people who founded the mind movie. And it's a pretty cool discussion. They became the poster child of their own product, which is a good thing. They set a goal, they went through trials, they went through challenges. They thought it was all going to fall apart. They hung in there, and then it came together, and they went home with a big check at the end of 1 year's work. They did good, and they contributed to many people's lives with their service. Now, I'm on page 192. In the exact same way that TV commercials program people to be victims or to experience what they lack, their want lack, mind movies can program students to be unlimited in a life they are capable of creating. End of quote. You see, this process that these commercials were using, excuse me, is not a harmful system. It's just a system that was being used to their purpose and profit. Now that we understand the system, because it's a human system, we can take that same system and use it on ourselves to choose ourselves into a better life, a life of our dreams, our purpose. That was the goal. That was why we talked about the commercials, to get you a good idea of what's already happening to you so that you can go, oh, this does work because it's been happening to me. People pay millions of dollars to have a business do this to me. Now do the same thing. You do the same thing. You create your own commercial, the mind movie, and you watch it repeatedly with emotional music and beauty that captures your eyes and your heart. You do this and let it program your heart and your mind into the abundance that is yours already to claim. One 93. While the kaleidoscope induces students into trance to open the subconscious to programming, the mind movie is the new program. That's it. That's the whole purpose. We've already presented evidence that says the process works. Now use it yourself for just a little bit of work. The programs are now free. There's systems out there. Use it to set yourself free, right? A great amount of research over the years, I'm on page 193. A great amount of research over the years has documented how the right and left hemispheres of our neural cortex relate to one another. The right is spatial, the left is cognitive and routines. The majority of people operate from the left hemisphere. I was very left-handed kind of guy. Just everything I did was analytical and deliberate and determined and get out of my way. I'm coming through. There wasn't much heart to the way my head worked. That is until I started learning to be healed through Dr. Joe. If the left hemisphere operates in the known and the right hemisphere operates in the unknown, as the activity increases in your right hemisphere, you are more open to creating something unknown than ever. So the purpose of the kaleidoscope is to quiet down this analytical mind. It takes some choosing because we're in the habit of being analytical. What is this? What does this color mean? What is it doing? What am I feeling? What? Allow it to get into your head. It's just a kaleidoscope. There's no suggestion behind it except what you wrote into the mind movie part. And then let your statements go into your heart and your subconscious mind. The only difference is that now you take responsibility for it instead of passively giving over your choice to the commercial programming. I think this is a good point to pause a second and see if anybody has any comments over what we just talked about. The big points that we just talked about, so you can raise your hand now. The big points of what we talked about is how commercials are programming us. It's not, or maybe they are. No, they are. There's a $1 billion industry, and from the opening of television, they have learned the art manipulating and programming a dummied down populace for their purpose and profit. We now have tools to use that same human process and create a better life for ourselves. Anybody got a comment on that? Is anybody here currently using the Mind movie that you'd like to say a little bit about how you're using it? We don't need a half an hour discussion, just kind of a little chat about it. No? Okay. All right, we'll continue. Next section is titled Soundtracks of Your Future Life. Music has a way of calling up the memory of specific times and place. The music you use when you create your mind movie is part of the significance in the process that encodes your alpha theta mind. So choose it carefully. It is part of it. Think of the commercials, tune out what they're saying, and think about the music and the sound effects. Catch how they use ominous, hooty sounds when it's supposed to be serious, and quick, playful sounds when it's supposed to be something else, and pop sounds when it's supposed to be something else. Think about how they use sound and music to manipulate your mind and your heart to be receptive to their suggestion. Once we remember and relive the pain connected to those traumatic moments, our internal chemical state changes. As you play this music, we remember an association with those musics. So if you play a music that, even though it's a beautiful piece of music that has a painful memory to it, as you try to do your mind movie and you hear that music, you don't think you mind movie, you remember the pain of that music. So choose your music carefully, that it does not have painful association, because your mind ties to music very well. That's why the commercials use it. And they use sounds of music that have not produced, well, usually they do, that are not associated, the ominous sounds and the doo doo doo, and just all these different sounds that are not really musical pieces. They're plays with your emotions. So it continues on page 195. So what if you could create a movie of your future and pair it with a song that motivates you? I had a few songs like that when I was using for my first couple years, when I was just fighting to get free of the programs of aggression and anger that I had. And I would sit here, and some of them I would just cry in because I so wanted to get free of my programming. And piece by piece I did. And I used music, I used poetry, I used stories, I used whatever I could to encourage me to let go of the programs of my life. You add words and phrases to your mind movie. On page 196, there's about 20 phrases here. I'll just pick a couple. My words are law. That is not something you say out here. That is something you tell your body. I am. Pay attention. And my words are law here. All my needs are always met. I am calling my body to respond, to my upper self to respond. I am not asking my body to it. I am declaring, body, get in the program. I believe in myself. That is a present moment statement. When I call on the spirit, it responds. Get in line, get in harmony, don't resist. These are present moment statements you say to yourself in the meditation as you're in that alpha theta mindset where your analytical mind is quiet, from the stirrings, and you move into that space. Think of your favorite music videos or scenes from your favorite musical. Chances are you know all the words. It's funny, I don't have a real tie to music. My wife sure does. I can get a phrase in my mind, and I'll just kind of be playing around, and I'll sing one phrase. That's all I know. And she'll take off and she'll sing most of the song just out of the blue. It's like how do you do that? Well, I don't know. I hear it and I just play it. You already know why this happens. If your body is the subconscious mind and it doesn't know the difference between experience you create emotionally and experience you create by thought alone, in the present moment, your body begins to believe it is living in that future reality. When you get tuned in, this analytical mind is at peace, so that when you start doing something with your quantum mind, remember we had a whole chapter titled Quantum Mind. Think about that chapter. That's an important chapter. When you move into that quantum mind, that what you process there is reflected in your body, because your analytical mind is quiet and is not interfering with that process. That's why the swirlings of the kaleidoscope, to get this to quiet down so you can move into space, so that you can go through that place and be in the quantum mind, tuned to different information there, and drive an experience into the body, and the body will just respond. I'm over on page 198 now. As they created more coherence in their brains and hearts, they would create more coherence in their own energy fields, and this would create a clearer electromagnetic signature. Normally, our mind is kind of like going off like this. They can see it on EKGs and the brain's firing all over the place, and they thought that was normal. Well, it may be typical, but I'm not sure if it's properly called normal. As you learn to do this type of work, you can quiet your mind and tune your mind and turn from a incoherent, chaotic mind into a clear thinking, coherent mind. And the brain quiets down and goes into one or two places without going like popcorn. That's the goal of this work. It would become increasingly easier and more familiar for them to activate their heart center and create. After they practice getting beyond their body, emotions, habit, pain, disease, identity, limits, beliefs, the analytical mind, unconscious programs, by the time the practice of mind movie was introduced, they would be ready to absorb a greater degree of information. When your mind is incoherent, you're not really absorbing much. You're too, when you're coherent and at peace in the mind, your awareness can record a great deal of information beyond what you typically think you're able to. $199. As you can see, the application for this technology is endless. No matter how it's applied, the power of mind movies resides in enabling people to construct a new reality by reminding themselves on a daily choice they can make. Think of this. You go to work and you've got a bully for a boss who tells you consistently that you're wrong, you can't do it, you're no good. You grow up in a family that crushes your spirit before you get out of high school. And now you're a cog in the wheel, and that's your place in life. And then someone comes along and says, I can help you reprogram that tool you have. I can help you discover that you can be free, that you can achieve, that you can love. Even with that, it's hard to begin. When you view it at night before you go to bed, your subconscious mind can contemplate it while you sleep. See, it's not a hard thing to do. It's a hard choice to make because you are choosing to let go of programs that you have used throughout your life and has kept you who you are. Now you're telling your inner self, I am going to change me. And for my story, that was a brutally hard emotional story for me to do. And for the few people I've talked to about this, some can't make that bridge. It's too big a change. They can't do it. I said, all you're doing is playing. No, I'm not going to do that. This is crazy stuff. And they don't. That's their choice. Think of your mind movie as if you are tuning on a radar device to track to your future. Then, as you repeatedly visit the future in your heart and mind, All the thoughts, choices, actions, experiences, and emotions, your experience between your present reality and your future reality become a course correction that delivers you to your target. Think of that. But I think they understate the challenge in that. Every step of that journey, you are challenged by your past. It just is. Because you got two ideas working in you. That old one doesn't just go, okay. It's not my experience that it does. You've got to want it, rehearse it, and want it some more, and rehearse it some more. Because you've got years of that old self playing around and around and around. Remember, opinion? An opinion is knowledge, not truth, just information that went in and stirred long enough to form a neural network. It's a neural network, it's real physiology in your head. You want to change that? You're going to be committed with your new knowledge. You're going to have to be committed, rehearse it, replay it, and tie it to your heart, or your old self just might discourage you enough to win. That's the human experience. Don't take it personal. If you can't feel the emotion and create the energy of your future reality, you might not recognize or trust that the future is unknown will happen. You got to want it. You got to feel it. Every time you hear Dr. Joe talk about your future self, he says, feel it. You go, how can I feel something that hasn't been yet? Your body doesn't care if it's been or not. Remember the quantum mind? Get in your quantum mind, feel it, see it, experience it, know it, and drive that into your body, that your body feel what you are feeling in the quantum mind and fall in love with it. Oh, man, I want that. Oh, I want that. Every day you get up, your old self will remember, okay, we're doing this. No, we're not. And you sit down and you play your mind movie again and you rehearse it again. Say, oh, I want that. I would love to have that in my life. To be that, to be healthy, where I don't have to worry about cancer every time I drink something sweet. Can you imagine how wonderful that would be to think I could eat a cup of ice cream and not have to go into a week's meditation to defeat the thought of cancer in me? Yeah, I'm talking about me. I succeed, but that program is in me. It is. Says, Ray, you've been doing this for 7 years. Yeah. That's how persistent that old program is. I'm healthy because I do the work. So I am no way saying this is an easy journey I'm giving you, but I am saying it's doable. I am saying it's part of the human experience. I am saying you can do this. Dr. Joe teaches this around the planet to every society that will listen. It's a human experience. You can do this. You can reprogram your life into a different person. This old knowledge gave you a perception that defined who you were. Guess what? This new knowledge can give an opinion, an attitude, a perception, that will give you a new personality and change your reality. Yeah, that's how it works. And the Mind Movie Kaleidoscope is a tool to help you do it. Page 201. I want you to experience everything in the scene using all five senses so that it feels like real life, three-dimensional experience. When you get into this mind movie and you see your text, I am loved and my body feels it. Take a breath and experience that in your life. Take a moment and be that person who is loved and their body's chemicals are releasing the response to being loved. You can do it. It's a human thing. Once they become aware that they are an awareness, I ask them to choose a scene from the mind movie. Become aware that you are awareness. What an interesting thing. Remember that little poster I made a couple months ago? Awareness is the goal. It's hard to understand until you get there. Once they become aware that they are awareness and awareness, once you're there, you're out of the analytical mind and you're in the quantum mind. And now the quantum mind can choose and create and draw to it images and beingness and drive that frequency into you, and your body will express it as if it is, because it is. As they expand their awareness to what else is in that scene, their senses begin recruiting other senses. As this new image comes in from your quantum mind, you go, well, I'm love, but what else is going on? And you start adding a moment of story to that initial moment. And now your body and heart are responding. And you're just being a moment in the story. Do you follow that? This is real. This is what Kaleidoscope Mind Movie is intended to bring on. Page 203. Because experience enriches the brain and creates an emotion that signals new genes in the body in the rich sensory moment of the student's inner experience without ever using their external senses, they're changing their brain and body to look like their future has already happened. So now your body has a body memory. We've got body memories of things that we've done in the past, our romance, our traumas, our skills that we've developed for work. I used to wonder, how in the world do I get a body memory for something that hasn't happened? I didn't get it at first. Nope, I'm not surprised if some of you are going, what? What? What do you mean I got a body memory of something in the future? Yeah, kind of reminds me of that movie Back to the Future. That's a great movie. I liked it. Um, so as you do this, your body starts having a memory of your future. Even the saying it sounds funny, don't it? But in having that, your body is drawn to re-experience that future that hasn't happened yet. I didn't say it wrong. Just like when we have body memories of a trauma in the past, in the strangest human character, we are bound and drawn to experience that event of the past. The easiest thing to see that happen is someone who has a fear of falling from heights. A lot of people who have no fear of falling can walk right up to the edge of a building and walk the perimeter, and they're not worried about it at all. They know they can walk a straight line and they do it. You take somebody who has a fear of falling, and it looks like they jump off the edge. They are so compelled by what they fear that they perform it. Take that character of the human experience and program your future self to perform your future. You will be drawn to it and perform it. Yeah, it's a human experience. That's real. The more energy you invest in your future, the more you keep experiencing and emotionally embracing it before it happens. Now, isn't that a bizarre statement? I love it though. The more you leave an energetic imprint in the future reality, and your body should allow your mind to that unknown future. No, your body should follow your mind to that unknown future because that's where your energy is. Now, there's some really odd things in those paragraphs, right? This is something he teaches around the world. This isn't just for crazy Americans. This is a human thing taught around the world because it's human to do.
Hey, Roy.
Hey, thank you for speaking up. I was starting to think I really messed something up.
No, no worries. Yeah, I had a question for you. I'm always fascinated. Well, I mean, I'm always find it so valuable to learn from what steps you took when you had that pass out experience when the angels arrived. Were you using what we're describing here today? Were you focusing on you already had this healing, like it was real? That day you were doing that meditation?
I had not gotten that far. I had been doing the blessing of the energy centers 1, 2, and 3. I did the change me meditation from you or the placebo a couple of times, a little bit. And I used the water rising. By the time the end of the 12 months goes, I was using the water rising some because it's just a beautiful symbolic meditation to me now. But mostly, I was using the blessing of the energy centers for the purpose of breaking the habit of my analytical mind. That was my number one battle in me. Let go of my head, will you? And I just, and I was fighting to get away from my analytical habit. That was one big battle I was having. The other big battle was this word that I just couldn't even read. I would see it on a page and turn the page, and that word is surrender. I'm telling you,
Wow.
you just don't know what a pain in the butt I was when I was challenged.
Yeah.
I don't. I should have surrendered a number of times, and I paid the price for it. Is what I think. But
Yeah.
so for me, my breakthrough was just learning to let go of my analytical mind, doing blessing of the energy centers. And I did them again and again and again and again. You know that part we keep reading about by repetition?
Yes.
I was doing meditations 3 days, 3 times a day with all the heartfelt earnestness I knew how to do.
Yeah.
How do I let go of this mind? And I would do this blessing of the energy centers, and I would tell stories from each area, and I'd get involved, and I would touch that gate,
Yeah.
and I could not get through it. I would argue with the angel, saying, "Let me in," thinking I could man my way past him or something. Just.
Yeah.
And
Did you
one
feel that
day,
you
yeah,
rise?
one day I found myself on the floor crying my eyes out, learning the word surrender. It just
Yeah.
after this, after that, my rules changed. The rules in me changed. What do they say? With great gifts come great responsibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gifted with deliverance, and now I had to learn why. or I would have been right back in it, because the very next year I had a different kind of cancer I had to learn to deal with. If I didn't learn why I was healed the first time, the second one would get me. So to do the second healing that I had just the very next year, I had a different kind of cancer blow up in me. I learned the placebo, which is similar to this. But see, back then, I didn't know how to make a program, and I surely didn't have an extra $100 to buy Mind Movies because I didn't know if they'd work or I could do them anyway. But I could afford the book, and I read the book and read the book, and I knew the placebo formula. And so I did it. And with all the repetition, everything that this program teaches, I did by creating my own mind movie as a placebo meditation.
And in your particular case, that was a belief that you were completely healed.
I was diagnosed with colon cancer. I've got the original diagnosis from my colonoscopy. I've got the diagnosis from the MRI. I've got the diagnosis from the biopsy. You with me? That was in March. The colonoscopy was in December. March, I was given a full breakdown, pictures, biopsy, diagnosis. June, I went into surgery, and she told me to get dressed and go home. There was not even a polyp. My colon was cleaner than a man 20 years younger than me.
Amazing.
They rolled me into surgery to cut out the lower 4 to 6 inches of my colon because everything says I had a spreading colon cancer because it wasn't one tumor. I had a string of tumors. I saw the picture up my colon. They're going to have to, and I was going to wear a plastic bag for the rest of my life. She went into me. She didn't even look at me before surgery. She had all the evidence she needed. They gowned me, gassed me, and rolled me into surgery and found me clean. She told my wife there was not even a polyp to exercise. Tell him to get dressed and go home.
My
That's
God.
just about a quote from the surgeon. I did a mind movie of my own creation in my head by doing the placebo effect again and again and again, 1,000 times with the craziest story. And I didn't know I was healed. Didn't know it.
That is amazing. And that story was that you were healed. Is that in your mind movie? That was,
No, hey, get this. I went into surgery expecting to be cut.
yeah.
I didn't know I was healed.
And the mind movie that you played, even while you thought you were going in to get surgery, was that you were healed.
Remember, you don't meditate on future tense, ing, going, healing, being, stating. I am. I have a perfectly healthy colon. Look at this. It's beautiful.
Amazing.
1,000 times, I figuratively speaking, I saw that in my experience.
Yeah, amazing.
You don't see yourself as a future self. You see yourself in present moment. Remember that chapter of present moment. That's the second chapter of the book. That is the most important chapter of the book. Everything follows you learning to be present moment. If you're holding grievances like I did all my life, you are not present moment. I don't care if you sit 8 hours a day in a chair listening to Dr. Joe. Until you let go, you're telling you can't be present moment because the present moment has empty hands. That's the hardest thing in the world to do, is to be present. It goes against all the society teaches and religion teaches. That is the hardest chapter to do. But once you do that, then the quantum mind makes sense. Then these other chapters make sense. Then what the kaleidoscope programming is telling you makes sense. Why it's so hard and why it works when it does.
So you lived a 1,000 present moments that you were already healed before.
Yes.
Yeah. Amazing.
Did I ever tell you what my meditation was for my colon?
No, you never did.
Remember, I had no audience. I had no friends. I had books, recordings of meditation. I didn't even have this book. I had Placebo and You Are Breaking the Habit. Those are my two books and a few meditations. That's all I had. And I went to work on my meditation for the placebo. Once again, the placebo has 4 elements: conditioning, the element, the red pill, blue pill type of thing, the story of the pill, and the emotion of the story. You miss any one of those and you've broken the chain and it don't work. So I'm trying to create a meditation for my colon. I know I've got to see it whole and healthy. That I knew. And I'd sit there and do it and do it. And nothing. I mean, I could feel my body go boring. So I started creating a story. And I was just story. I pretended like I'm examining my colon and it's perfectly healthy. And I'm thinking I'm pretty good. I'm pretty graphic in my head sometimes. My body went boring, nothing. I knew I wasn't getting anywhere. And so the little boy in me rose up and says, Ray, you got to play with it. You got to get your heart involved. So I created a little boy scene. This is a playful little boy that still resides in me. So I create an image of my body. And I've seen the pictures of these lumps on my colon. They're there. I got pictures of them. And so I'm thinking, how do I do this? So I pictured myself, first of all, take an example from Dr. Joe's studies. In the beginning of this book we're reading here, he talks about his time after his car accident where he just blew up his back. And he's laying face down and he turned down the Harrington Bar surgery where they put bones in his back. And he says, the creator that made me can heal me, or something like that. And so what did he do? He didn't just start going, Om. He's a chiropractor. He is a master of the back. And the first thing he did was get a study and started rememorizing the bones of his back. If he has to rememorize it, don't you think we should know what we're trying to do when we meditate for healing? So I started studying the colon. And I learned that the colon goes through about a 90-degree turn, that it's all wrinkly, that it's got 3 layers of fascia, and that its primary purpose is to absorb nutrients and to squeeze it moderately dry and things like that. And that if you do something that causes damage to the colon's lining, you can get toxic poisoning from your own body fluids. I learned all that. I used to know the names of it and stuff like that. So I got to know the colon, and I would go down and I examine it, and my body went, boring. Come on, I know I've got to get my heart involved. I'm like, Ernest, I got to do this. You know, and then my little boy in me says, watch this. And I let go. Remember that word surrender? I'd gotten past my surrender thing now. So I let go and said, show me a story. And like a little boy, I sat on that valve between the small intestine and the large intestine at the kind of the top. I forget where it was. Over in the top under the liver area, there's a joint where the small I experienced the little boy in me sit there with 2 flares. I have a thing for sparklers. I've used them in other meditations. That's a little boy of me. And he kicks off and he goes down the colon like a water slide going, whee! And as he went down, those sparklers were flashing into the colon, lighting it up, making it perfectly healthy. And all the facility was shouting and was waving at me, yay. And I would go through the colon and see it idealistically perfect as I slid through the colon and out my butt.
That's
And
awesome.
I'd pop back and I'd be back on the top of the valve again. And I think, oh, that was wow, do it again. And I did it again and again and again. And I would see and experience a perfectly pink, healthy, excited, energized colon. And I could feel it in my body and my heart, and my mind would be excited. Did you see what you just did? That's so funny. Ah. And I did again. And it only takes a few seconds to do, but it drove response in my body throughout my body every time I did it. I mean, look at how I respond just rehearsing it. I didn't know I was healed. I was willing. I didn't want to lose my life to cancer. So I went to the hospital, let them gown me, let them gas me, let them roll me into surgery. Believe me, I was the most surprised anything. What do you mean I don't have cancer? I got the pictures. My wife argued with the surgeon when she said there's nothing there. She says, what do you mean there's nothing there? We got pictures, we got diagnosis. And the surgeon says, look, I'm the head of this internal memory. I went in as far as my probes could go. There was not even a polyp. Tell your husband, get dressed, go. I am 70 years old when this happens. 71, maybe. And my colon was cleaner than someone 20 years younger than me.
That
You
is
think I'm kidding? That's why I do what I do here, trying to get you guys to realize Dr. Joe, if anything, is not exaggerating. He's understating the potential here.
that's awesome. I especially like the unique touch of, oftentimes you do these things and you have to get in such a calm state, almost this hypnotic state. And I love that yours had so much excitement in it that I hadn't thought
If
about
your
it.
heart's not involved, it's like watching a pile of wood when the fire's not been lit.
Yeah.
You got to light it.
Yeah. Got to make it fun.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I had people, I take phone calls during the week with people want meditation and stuff. This one guy says, I need a new car. And I went, boring. What do you mean
Yeah.
boring? I need a new car. So what? Everybody wants a new car. Just go get it. He says, you don't understand. And then he told his story of his family where his wife can't work anymore and she needs a bigger car. And by the time he was done, I was almost wanting to go buy him the car. It was like, oh my God, you do. And so we had this heartfelt, urgent, explosive meditation. And I drew lightning from the sky just so this guy could find a deal on a car. And he got a car in the next couple of weeks. It was half price. The dealer was just trying to get rid of it.
It's awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else want to speak to me about Kaleidoscope? No one raised their hand that says they do Kaleidoscope. Sandra talked earlier saying that she's working on building hers, that she's got the programs and stuff, but she doesn't have it yet. But she's working on it. Maybe next week we'll get a testimony from Sandra saying, oh, I got it all built and I'm using it. It's really cool. We'll see. But nobody's done it. Okay. Well, I don't use it. I don't use the Kaleidoscope. Why? Because I like to close my eyes and get involved in my vision. I mentioned I have a friend who, when he meditates and goes through that darkness, he goes through a space, a dimension of Kaleidoscope. He thought it was normal. until I went, what? You do what? So it's not for everybody. It's not really for me, but I know it works because I've talked to enough people and the principle is solid. The point is to get past your analytical mind. Kathleen, thank you for raising your hand.
Hey Ray, I got on a little late tonight. The one that you were showing, the Dr. Joe one, was that one from his site that you were showing us, or is that a sample one he gives
That is
us?
a
Or...
YouTube video.
Oh, cool.
It's
So,
on the WhatsApp. Sandra posted it either yesterday or the day before yesterday.
oh,
And
thank you, Sandra.
I was preparing mine uh for today. And I was looked at mine. I said, okay, that's
Yeah.
pretty nice. Then I saw it. Then I went through. I saw that Sandra did and went, oh, I like hers better.
Oh, very good. Yeah, I have to backtrack. I'm gathering pieces to make mine, but I'm not sure how long that'll take me. But yeah, I'll go back and look at that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Sandra's working on it. Is she not here? Did she already bail out? Ah, there she is.
There she is.
Yeah, Sandra's told us she's working on it. She's getting the parts together, and that she's using Canvas and Canva, and she'll get on and tell us a little bit more again.
Beautiful.
Okay, Kathleen, thank you. Okay, Sandra, tell your story again.
Hi. Yes, I have been working with the Kaleidoscope. Trying to, like, I went to Pixels. You can go to pixels.com and you can actually download free Kaleidoscope that people had already done there. And you can get some samples there 1 minute. So in those 1 minute, you can download it and then you can use two apps. One is for editing, that is CutCap, and the other one is Canvas, when you can actually create. So you need actually those two. So both of them are free, and you can play around with that. I create your own mind movie. I kind of like it, um, but it's actually complicated. Like adding the text, adding the letter. Sometimes the letter goes so up and then so down, and I said, "Oh my god!" I've been literally spending more 8 hours in this. Like if I were working full time. So, but I'm doing my best trying to do it. One that I was working for my health, right? And the normal, like you said, the placebo, using the five steps, visualizing it, the intention, and visualize the organ that you need to heal. In my case, it's the spine. So visualizing and putting photos of me doing the things that I loved before, the things that I love but I'm limited right now, cycling, biking, kayaking. So right now I am able to dance and swim and walk without pain. Kayaking not yet, and paddleboarding not yet. It's for the next year, but it's that I'm visualizing again doing it. So um, it's been very interesting journey. At the same time, healing my heart from previous relationships that I was doing. I had and didn't work. So, like working in forgiveness and putting all on that, like breaking the chains, surrendering, right? So, how does it feel to feel surrender? And how does it feel to feel actually free and true forgiveness without expecting without expecting the other person, expecting the person who hurt you um suffering or something like that is very hard. So the surrendering part when you have a broken heart is actually hard. Yeah. So I'm putting the photos there, putting the photos, inspirational photos, and then putting the sentence, the right sentence. But using these apps, it takes time and patience. Sometimes you write the letter, the sentence, and then it disappears. So, and I said, "Oh my God, it's easy, but it's fun. I'm having fun spending my time of healing and meditating." And yeah, thank you for
Oh, thank
listening.
you. Thank you, Sandra. Love the heart share. That's
Thank
why I'm
you.
here. That is why I'm here. That is so nice.
Thank you for your help. I really appreciate it. The inspirational, like you did it and you visualize it, where some people are really visual, like they like to have like seeing things, right? And it's good to put it like, I am listening the ones that I share you this morning for health, and they are general, right? Like those neutral, but are actually very good. So the two that you posted, I wake up and I listen to that 15 minutes, you rewire your brain before getting out the bed.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, Sandra. That's kind of what I did, just uh now you've got a tool to help you visualize, to help you get that image in you, a tool to help you go into that space within the space through the kaleidoscope fractal images, and then program it with I am. You're speaking to your heart, not a poster board.
Yeah. That's the thing that I am, as is already happening, right?
Yeah,
I am
it's a
grateful.
present
Yeah.
moment thing. If you're not sure what that means, read chapter 2 again, present moment.
Yeah.
It is clearly the most important chapter in this book.
And somebody posted something there in Canva. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Connie, thank
Yeah.
you. So anybody got questions, go to about to say Connie.com. No, go to canva.com, canva.com, and just start working on it.
It's fun. To be honest, it's kind of fun. You just need to have a time and patience to learn.
That's it. Just give yourself permission to do it. Are we done? Kind of looks like it. The next chapter is almost as different as this one. This next chapter is also about a type of meditation, the walking meditation. A little bit of humor. Dr. Joe, I've seen yoga meditations, and there's like 120 different types of yoga meditations and all this different stuff. And I looked into the Kabbalah, and it's got all kind of rituals and meditations and things like that. Dr. Joe has a list of different meditations, but there's only 4 different meditations. What are the 4 different meditations? Laying down, sitting, standing, and walking. I find such humor in that. After my history, where everybody had different and this and this, Dr. Joe narrows it down. Says, look, there's only 4 different, and you're either laying down, sitting, standing, or walking. That's it. And then everything else is what's happening here and in your heart. I find that humorous. So next week we'll be talking about number 4, the walking meditation. If you go to a week-long conference, there's usually 3 or 4 walking meditations. And by the time you get to them in the last couple of days, it's amazing what you do when you have 2,000 people walking down a road, all zoned out in a trance, meditating. The humor of how it looks is hysterical. But the effect when you allow yourself tune in to the flow of 2,000 people walking down a trail, all tuned in to the energy field about them. Oh, it's like riding a river. The energy is just undescribable. I hope if you've never been to a conference, you go. One conference is enough to change your life. It is just like nothing. I've been to 3 now, and I plan on continuing 1 a year if I could possibly afford it. I continue, so I've been to 3. It took me a couple of years to get the money up for the first one. So that's next week. In the meantime, keep up the meditations, and I'll see you next Sunday.